Brother Abdul Hakim, Assalamu alaikum.
ولكن السلام ورحلته.
Thank you very much for driving all the way from Birmingham in this weather.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for welcome.
And when I asked you how was the weather, you said England.
Well,
It's the English weather.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, tell me, how did you know about Islam? How did this journey begin?
I would say in the early 90s, I had some friends who were Muslim. I mean, I was Christian at the time, and we used to debate, but the type of lifestyle that we all was living, it was a bit rough around the edges. Yeah, so sometimes we'll have a session, meaning that we'll be sitting down, we'll smoke and drink, and my friends at the time who turned Muslim, they'll be talking about hellfire and this, that, and the other, and I'll be like, it's rubbish.
But they would be sitting with you drinking.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I mean, it's a type of, it's a type of environment that we was in. We all grew up together, but they turned Muslim, and
so they were not practicing Muslims, were they?
I don't know about praying, because I didn't know about praying at that time. I know that there was taking it, well, I thought that was taking it quite serious, but, we, as I said, we used to have sessions, and we used to just, how can I say, we used to smoke weed and this, that, and the other, and we were all talking about Africa, and they start talking about Islam, and so it was introduced to me through them friends at that time.
You were at school at the time, or?
I was at college.
College, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a day release at college, but like I said, in them days in the 90s, it was all in my environment that I was living in. It was about gangs, so we used to be in gangs, and we used to do certain things
in Birmingham.
In Birmingham, but with known gangs in Manchester, London, or throughout the UK. So, but I was more, obviously, from being from Birmingham, I was more involved with the gangs in Birmingham.
What makes gangs so attractive to young men?
It's you're part of something.
You want to belong to something.
Yeah, you belong to something. You're part of a crew. You're part of a team that you get money together. You have certain experiences together. You go out clubbing together. You raise money together. Family probably know each other as well. You probably went to the same schools and whatnot. And you defend each other as well against other rivals or against other people you have situations with. So you grow up and you live together. Like I said, it's like
and you end up in trouble. Family. You end up in trouble together as well.
Well, it's part of the package. It's part of the deal,
So what happened next?
Well, okay, so like I said, he was introducing me to Islam, so that's when I kind of first heard about it. What happened was I got involved in, like I said, involved in gangs and this and the other, and how can I say, we used to go on earners. Earners is like, we used to get money together, let's just say that. Not the right way. I want to go into detail with that, but I'm sure you have an idea.
Okay.
So we used to do
making money the haram way.
Yeah, the haram way, the quick way.
Quick way.
So I've done a few jobs, running in and out of post offices and a few jobs like that. And one of the times, one thing what happened was one of the jobs that I'd done, I left some DNA there.
Oh.
And it caught back up to me. So once I went through that time period of, earning, I started to knuckle down, started to go do a day release at college. And I got stopped driving one time, and I gave you a mouth swab, and I caught the DNA from before.
Oh, they recognized you?
They recognized the DNA. So I had to do a bit of time for that.
You were imprisoned?
Yeah. So once I was doing a bit of time, I started to read books, had a bit of time to myself. There was an Asian guy who used to talk about Islam, but again, it was
a mate or a prison or a prison guard.
No, an inmate.
Inmate.
Yeah, there's quite a few Muslims in prison. You'd be surprised. And he talked to me about Islam, and I noticed that there was there was a peaceful atmosphere, and
Around him.
Yeah. And a lot of the things did make sense because I was reading the Bible. I was trying to get more closer to the Creator. I mean,
You wanted to be religious anyway.
well, I'm not about religious, but I wanted to have that connection because there are certain times, and certain people probably can relate, when the heat is on. When you're doing a certain, if you're involved in a job and the heat is on, you'll pray. You're not necessarily on your hands and knees, but you'll be like, God, help get me out of this situation. When you're in helicopters,
When you are in a crisis,
yeah,
you
the
say,
helicopters
"Oh
are
God."
out, the dogs are out. You can hear them. You got your bag. You don't even want the money anymore. You just want to get home. That sort of situation. And I've been in a few of them. And I've always believed in God. I mean, being grown up as a Christian and going to church as a child.
Was your family a religious family?
Yeah, Christian, Pentecostal. The stubborn, proper Christian. So I did go to like Sunday school, and back in them days, we used to go on family trips to theme parks and whatnot. So I did have that sort of like upbringing, but like I said, things happen and you sort of like divert. But so I did have that. You'll say fitra. I did have that belief, and it was just about having some time with that belief and just like kind of looking more into it. In the 90s, I would say that from going to school and from what I knew about Islam, I thought it was like a Pakistani religion. And I wasn't really interested in it, to be honest with you. I just thought that Christians for us, Islam is for Pakistanis, and that was it. There weren't really much Arabs or Somalis or Africans in Birmingham around that time.
You didn't know any?
I didn't know any. I didn't know any. I met Jews, but they were African. They resemble the same complexion. They weren't white Jews like what we have now.
Flashers, maybe?
Well, they
Ethiopian Jews?
Probably. They probably was Ethiopian Jews because I remember meeting one and they said he was Jew and I was just intrigued, and I wanted to know more about it, because reading the Bible, when you hear that Jesus had hair like lamb's wool and feet the colour of brass, obviously that gives a different picture from when you see like a picture at your nan's house with blonde hair, blue eyes, and or the halo, it's and then but in the book it reads something different, so I wanted to, obviously I had a hunger to learn more about it and more about the history of Africa and things like that. So when I did have some time when I was in prison, I did look more into the African history and
they have good books inside the prison.
Well,
or you can order one.
You can order books, and there's people who are quite educated. You sit down and you listen to some talks, and the guy who was giving me dawah, an Asian guy, he'll talk about Islam and say, about his the people who were taken from Africa were Muslim,
yes,
and things like this. So that caught my attention. So now I started to look more into it, but I still sort of thought that Muslims are for Asian people and Christians is for black and white people. It's only when I started to sort of look more into it and I realized that Islam, the people that were taken from Africa, and a lot of Africans are Muslim, when I started to look more into it, because now there's some familiarity. So I started to look into it like that. And I remember making a supplication that whichever is the right way, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Islam, as long as you're happy with it, then guide me to it. I remember that.
You asked for guidance.
I asked for that. Whichever way, if it's Christianity, whichever way, as long as it's the Creator's happy, guide me that way, and just guide me and show me the right way. And I believe actually that me, obviously everything's the qadr of Allah. Everything's already been written and it's almost meant to happen. And me going away and sitting down for a little while helped me to know myself and to reflect on certain things and to try and, you know, get my life and get myself.
How long were you in prison for?
It's supposed to be 5 years, but you do half of that.
Oh, so
it's about
2.5 years.
Yeah, about 2.5 years. And I went to different parts. I went to some prisons which I should think will be closed down now, because them prisons there, like Dartmoor at that time, was like slap out. I don't know if you heard it. I don't think you've heard of things like that, where there's no toilets in the prison, in the room. You know, I mean, you have to empty your waste out in the morning and experience.
Yes, medieval.
Yeah, you see the bullet holes in the walls and everything. It's some real medieval prison. But the time that I spent in prison, because I was inside with some other guys as well that I knew, that I've experienced some rough and bad experiences. You know, there's, I don't know if anyone can relate. Well, maybe, I don't know. Allahu Alam. But the prison guards, you know, the experiences where it toughens you up. You know, when you hear the keys at night coming and you hear the footsteps coming at night and everyone's praying that it's not their door that gets opened, because whoever's doors that are getting opened, they're getting hurt.
They beat you?
No, come on. You're getting hurt. You're getting hurt.
Oh, worse.
You know, I mean, you're getting hurt.
Wow.
You know, I remember the guy next to me, at night you hear the keys and you hear the footsteps coming. We call them screws, meaning prison officers at the time. And you heard a bunch of them coming, and it was the guy next door that was coming for. And I heard them go into his room, and I heard them, they really hurt him. And then you know, the gaps between the doors, you got like a flap in the door, and you got like gaps. Everyone's looking for the gaps, and I can see them dragging him away, and there's blood just pouring out on the floor. And I've seen that happen a few times inside. So, you know, obviously, well, I should think it's changed now. I think prison nowadays is like Butlins.
Did they target certain individuals for certain reasons, or was this just choosing one every day?
There probably was an incident what happened in a day, and the screws. Sorry,
so
the
it's
officers got
like,
together
like
and said,
retribution.
We'll yeah, the screws probably got. Sorry, the officers probably said we'll get him later on, and you know they went and sorted him out. But,
so, did you end up a Muslim inside prison or not yet?
Yeah, I ended up embracing inside. How it was I started reading. I started reading about this Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And at first, like I said, I thought he was from Pakistan. You know, because the only Muhammad I know was the Pakistanis.
Yeah.
You know, I never met nobody else. So when I read this guy is a prophet named Muhammad, I thought he's from Pakistan. I'm not really interested. Not that I ain't got nothing against, you know, Pakistanis, but from what I knew, that was their thing.
Yeah, you thought of it as an ethnic thing.
Yeah, because it was a lot, you know. When in that life of jahiliyyah, of ignorance, a lot of it is racial, you know, and tribal, So, like I said, I was learning about Muhammad, and I weren't really too keen on him. Well, okay, I learned about his experience and whatnot, but I was more keen on Allah. That's my direct connection that I want. I mean, you know, I learned about Musa, Noah, and the rest of the prophets, which, you know, it's interesting stories. You
were reading about them from Islamic sources or from Christian sources?
I was reading from first Christian sources, from the Old Testament. And there was a respect there from reading from that. I didn't really learn from an Islamic perspective in regards to the prophets, because from what I did read, it was very similar. Anyway,
true, to a large extent.
Yeah, it was very similar. I think, if anything, in the Quran, because I did read more of the Quran, it told a lot of the story of Moses, and I had a strong love for Moses, Musa. And like I said, and Isa, and like I said, when I started to learn more about the Prophet, I remember reading a book called The Sealed Nectar, which I think is a biography of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
الحقيقة المختوم.
Is that what you call it?
In Arabic.
Okay, the sealed nectar, yeah?
Yes.
So I remember that book. That book got passed around in prison a lot.
It's a brilliant, it's a brilliant book.
It's a nice story. It's a nice book, mashallah. So I remember reading about that, and I started praying. And I had a cell with an Asian brother, and we started to get more serious because, we still had our sessions and whatnot because, you obviously can get them things in prison. And we made an agreement that we'll take down all the posters of women, what we put up on the...
But he was already a Muslim.
He's Muslim already, but,
By name. But then both of you decided to take it seriously.
Yeah, we both decided one day, we had a session, and we thought, let's take all the posters down and let's start praying and, start being serious. So we took all the posters down, and I put a poster of how to pray on the wall. So I was praying. So when I was praying, I was looking at the picture, looking at the poster. And when you say in Ruku, I look up and I read it. Go back up and Sajda, I look up and read it. So that's how I learned how to pray. And I've done that for about a year.
Wow.
And I remember going to the Jummah, and they said, "Have you took your Shahada?" And I was like, "What's that?" So
you prayed for a year
I prayed for a year
without making the Shahada.
Without the Shahada. And I was reading and praying for about a year without taking Shahada. When he asked me, "What's that?" I said, what's that, Shahada? He said, you have to become a Muslim, you have to say, you bear witness and testimony to the last prophet. So I said, I've done that. And so I done that, and I remember feeling, there was a strange feeling. It was a strange feeling. It was
relief?
I don't know if a kind of relief, but it's a kind of like a door opening.
Oh.
It's hard to describe. It's a door opening, and you're starting a new experience. Like, just close the door behind you, and now you got a new door. You're going for it's like it's like that. Maybe it was because I was praying and before I took the Shahada. So Allahu Alam. But I felt that, and I didn't look back. I took it seriously, and I started, cutting down on sessions until I eventually stopped smoking weed, drugs, and I finished that, done my time, came out, and
what was the response of your family?
They thought that, it's just a phase you're going through. Because it's been in prison. It's not 100%.
He'll come back.
He'll come back. He'll come back. And
were they angry with you?
I don't think they was angry with me because there's not really much they could do. Because I was quite independent anyway.
I see.
But obviously, I was the oldest of the grandchildren, so there was a responsibility in regards to the rest of my cousins and whatnot as well. But there wasn't so much as being angry. They just wanted to see what effect it's going to have on me, and how is it going to affect my brothers, sisters, and cousins. And
they couldn't see that the change was positive.
I think the good side of the change was positive, but it's different from, I wasn't going to going out clubbing. I haven't been clubbing since I turned Muslim, meaning I haven't gone to party or anything like that. When families will get together, probably the men will go around the back and, we'll have a smoke and we'll chill. But I was sort of like distancing myself from that. So it's like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Usually you bring that, you would, bring a half ounce or something and you bring, you contribute. Yeah, but like I said, I kind of just distanced myself from that and just started to take it a bit more serious. I remember I got married, and I brought my wife to my granddad's house, and he let rip. He got angry and he said bad things, and you come in here looking like this, and then she got upset, and because she wore hijab and.
They didn't like to see her.
No, they didn't like to see her like that. You know what I mean? Because I seen they didn't like it. So and I was like a phobe, you know, and they didn't like that at all, and they really let us have it, but we just left. I think that made me more stubborn, if anything. So we just carried on from there.
And the relationship did not improve afterwards? With your family?
Family is family. Family will always be family. You know, even if you don't get on with them, that's just, of course, they're still family. And and I love them, and I'll always will love them. I want, obviously them to be guided, but and I do what I can, but they're family still at the end of the day, and still not to this day. But it's just that we have different beliefs. They know that if they're going to invite me and my family, that the food has to be halal, for example. What they can eat their pork and they can eat whatever, but I'm not touching that. If you want us to come, we'll come and socialize, but if you want us to eat...
And they accommodate you?
Yeah.
They do?
They do now. Before, there was like, they'll test us,
What about your siblings and cousins? Any of them at all influenced by you?
No, yes. It was more so, it was more by my actions rather than what I said. They want to see if you're serious about it. They want to know, for example, is it a phase that you're going through? Who is Allah? Is it how come there's not many of us that are Islam? Because like I said, for the most part, especially in the 90s, late to 2000s, it was more Asian. I mean, when I got out in about 2004, something like this, I noticed that there was a lot more Somalis.
Yes,
around.
True. That's the time when the Somalis came.
Yeah. So I noticed that, and I was like kind of intrigued by it. I was like, it's a new thing to see these women of color in hijabs. And
how was the Muslim community with you? I mean, did you feel that you managed to integrate into the Muslim community, or were you received well or not well? Or
okay, when I got out, there was this new to me movement called Salafi. Yes. And I started to learn about that, and their methodology.
You joined them?
Their methodology. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, because it was people that I can relate to. I can see, people who resembled me. There's black people, there was Arab people. I like that. And it's a sign that when you see multiculturalism or people of different nationalities on something, they're not there for the culture, they're there for something deeper than that. Because everyone has their own culture. If they come together upon the truth, then it must be something which is worthy of looking into, because it's not the culture they're coming into, because everyone has their own culture. So with this Salafi, I started to look into what's the meaning of it. What does it mean? I was never one to just join just to socialize or to be around people. That's not me. People are different. But I wouldn't say that I was Salafi by association. I'm looking into it to see what is it about. And if I don't like it, then you keep it. I'm not interested. But it was something which I found to be standard in regards to understanding Islam the way the companions understood it, and so on and so forth, which I think is obvious. It's not something that, if it requires a special name, then so be it. But I think it's normal. It's normal. Obviously, that's got to be the way to understand it. I can't see no other way. So I started, like I said, to look into it, and I started to learn more about Islam, take it a bit more seriously in regards to seeking knowledge. Personally, I'm not a person who, even though I was involved in gangs, but I knew people from different gangs and I was cool with them. Sorry, I was okay with it. Sorry. You have to excuse me.
Cool is okay, no problem.
I was okay with them, yes. So I never really got into like fighting against them or fighting against the other, because I knew from both I went to school and we grew up together and whatnot. So my attitude was, even when I come to the deans, come to Islam, was I'll go to any masjid as long as they're not on
Remain open.
Yeah, I'm not, as long as they're not on some crazy, doing some crazy stuff. I'll go in there, pray some masjid at the end of the day, and if there's benefit, I'll take the benefit, obviously depending who's doing that, but then I'll leave. But what was happening, I noticed, was within certain masjids, it was like, you're either with us or against us kind of mentality.
That's a very sad thing, yeah.
The way of following of understanding the religion, I understand that. I didn't really get into the politics side of it, because I noticed that a lot of people who did get into the politics side of it, they didn't really have much going on. They weren't working. There was, it's like they needed something to do. So they start pointing the finger and this and that. Well, I weren't interested in all of that. I need, had a growing family. I needed to work. Life is short as it is. So trying to deal with your family and trying to earn a halal life, that's going to keep you busy anyway, without getting involved in politics. Leave the politics to the people of knowledge.
And now you are involved in this charity as well.
So now...
Is this charity your own work? I mean, you started it or you joined it?
I started it.
You started it?
I started working with, I had a bookshop and I started, or opened up a madrasa for children, and there was kids that were coming who had special needs, and what was happening was the kids with special needs was how can I say, disruptive, because obviously in normal madrasas you probably can have one teacher to every 5 to 10 kids, but with a child with special needs, that it's more one-to-one, because that child will get up and just run around and start knocking things over and things like this. So they need a lot more attention. So some parents started complaining, saying that, these kids who've got autism and special needs, take them out of the class. So I said, no, okay, you go, because there's many madrasas which you can go to. I'm going to start a madrasa for special needs. Oh. And it started off like that, working with special needs, and we started doing like speech therapy, phonics and things like this, and Makaton. Makaton's like a form of sign language, but it's usually for kids with communication problems, and that's a form of sign language as well.
Is this now your full-time work?
It's become a full-time job, because we registered at the charity in 2009.
Is it just for Muslim kids or for any kids?
We're prioritizing Muslim, because the foundation is Islamic, because the rules and everything is Islamic, so therefore it has to be an Islamic foundation. We're not, because when we're teaching the kids in madrasa, obviously we're going to teach them about Allah. Allah's the creator. We're not teaching them about Jesus, so therefore we're going to prioritize Islam, obviously, but everyone's welcome.
But it's tailored for Muslims.
Yeah. Everyone's welcome, but it's tailored for Muslims.
Brother Abdul Hakim, it's been very interesting listening to your story. And once again, thank you very much for coming to see us on a day like this.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.